What's the most dangerous person you've ever met who insisted they were helping? I was lifeguarding at the community pool when this kid started making weird gasping sounds after eating his snack, and his lips were swelling up like someone was inflating them from the inside, while these angry red hives spread across his arms like spilled paint. His mom started screaming that he was allergic to peanuts, and someone must have given him something with nuts in it, while I reached for my phone to call 911, and another lifeguard ran for the first aid kit with the EpiPen we kept for emergencies. That's when this guy in expensive swim trunks pushed through the crowd, yelling that he was a doctor, and everyone needed to step back immediately because we were wasting precious oxygen. The kid's mom was crying and begging him to help as her son's face turned from red to purple, and his breathing sounded like air being sucked through a coffee stirrer. The doctor grabbed the mom's shoulders and told her the worst thing she could do right now was panic, because stress hormones would make the reaction worse, and we absolutely should not use the EpiPen because injecting epinephrine would spike the kid's heart rate and cause instant cardiac arrest in someone so young. The mom pulled out her son's prescribed EpiPen from her bag, but the doctor actually ripped it from her hand and threw it into the pool where it sank to the bottom. Listen to me carefully because your son's life depends on it. I've been practicing emergency medicine for 30 years, and I've seen dozens of kids die from parents overreacting to minor allergic reactions with unnecessary interventions that overwhelm their tiny cardiovascular systems. The kid collapsed onto the concrete, and his whole body started jerking in these horrible spasms while foam came out of his mouth and his eyes rolled back, showing just the whites. The doctor dropped to his knees and started doing these bizarre circular massage movements on the kid's throat while chanting something about lymphatic drainage and histamine redistribution that sounded like complete nonsense. He kept pressing his thumbs into the kid's neck in ways that made everyone watching flinch because it looked like he was making the swelling worse, and the kid's face was turning from purple to this terrifying grayish-blue color. Everything we'd been trained said anaphylaxis needed immediate epinephrine, but the doctor kept insisting we needed to let the reaction run its course naturally while he manually redistributed the inflammatory response through acupressure points. The other lifeguard whispered to me that this seemed completely insane, but the doctor heard her and screamed at us that we were minimum-wage teenagers who knew nothing about medicine beyond outdated protocols designed to sell pharmaceuticals. This child needs therapeutic breathing space, not synthetic adrenaline that will blow out his arterial walls like overinflated balloons. The kid had completely stopped moving, except for these tiny gasps that were getting further and further apart, while his skin looked like someone had painted him gray and his fingers were turning black at the tips. That's when I pretended to go get towels from the supply room, but actually ducked inside and called 911 on the emergency phone. I told them we had a child in anaphylactic shock and some doctor was refusing to let us give epinephrine and wouldn't let anyone call for help and was doing some kind of weird massage instead of real treatment. The dispatcher said they were sending paramedics immediately and asked me to stay on the line, but I said I had to get back before the doctor noticed. When I came back out, the kid's entire body was swollen like someone had pumped him full of air, and he'd completely stopped moving, while the doctor was now pressing on pressure points on the kid's feet, claiming it would reverse the histamine cascade through reflexology meridians. The mom was sobbing and begging him to do something else, but he kept saying she needed to trust his expertise over her hysteria. Modern medicine wants you to think every allergic reaction is an emergency, so they can charge you $10,000 for a 50-cent injection that causes more harm than good. That's when the siren screamed into the parking lot, and the doctor's face went from confident to furious as he demanded to know who called them against his direct medical orders. The paramedics burst through the gate and immediately shoved the doctor aside so hard he fell backwards into a puddle of pool water. The first thing they did was inject the kid with epinephrine from their kit, while the doctor started screaming that they were committing murder and he would have their licenses revoked for malpractice. That's absolutely contraindicated for pediatric anaphylaxis and goes against everything we know about inflammatory cascade management. One of the paramedics looked at him like he was completely insane, while the other one administered a second injection and started oxygen while checking vitals. Within 60 seconds, the kid's chest started moving normally and color began returning to his face, while the doctor kept ranting about how they just poisoned a child with unnecessary chemicals. The lead paramedic asked who the hell had been preventing treatment, while his partner called for police backup, and the doctor tried to slip away through the crowd, but two dads blocked his path. Turns out the doctor had lost his license 3 years ago for practicing dangerous alternative medicine theories that nearly killed multiple patients, but kept showing up at emergencies, pretending he still had credentials. The kid started crying, which made everyone exhale with relief, and the paramedics said another 3 minutes without epinephrine would have been fatal. They arrested the guy for practicing without a license and reckless endangerment.